Hi, I'm Peggy Fox. Welcome to Actions Speak Louder, highlighting Dominion Energy's projects and community support. The Dominion Energy Charitable Foundation has awarded $1.3 million in grant funding to 97 environmental organizations across 8 states. This year's recipients will restore and preserve acres of wetlands, create parks and equestrian trails, provide free seeds to promote home gardening and pollinator conservation, purchase tree seedlings to replace the dreaded spotted lanternfly's preferred host tree. Students in Virginia will learn aquaponics and vertical farming. And a $20,000 grant is helping an organization called Earth Sangha restore a floodplain. And we have Earth Sanga's Executive Director, Matt Bright, with us here in studio to tell us all about what you're doing. We're so happy to support you guys.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So first and foremost, what does Earth Sangha mean?
So the Sanga part, the earth part's probably self-explanatory, but the Sanga part is a Sanskrit term. It means community.
Okay.
So our organization, we've been around for 25 years now. Our organization was born out of a Buddhist meditation group. And it was a number of folks who were interested in the environment, already knowledgeable about the environment, but wanted to apply some of those Buddhist values in a practical manner. So we began by removing invasive species and by growing out trees and getting them back into the ground. And now, 25 years later, that still forms the kind of core of our work, though we do work in a scientific and secular context, and both our staff and volunteers come from a wide array of faith communities or profess no faith at all.
Wonderful. I know that the grant that Dominion Energy provided is working in a place called Dewey's Creek and doing restoration. So first of all, where is Dewey's Creek?
So Dewey's Creek is down in Prince William County. It's right on the border of town of Dumfries, if you're familiar with that area. And Dewey's Creek itself flows down into Quantico Creek. We're right in the mouth of that creek, and that goes right into the Potomac. So a very important bit of riparian habitat to conserve.
That is right near the Possum Point Power Station,
yes,
which I'm very familiar with. So tell us a little bit about the problem that's going on in Dewey's Creek that you are dealing with and that you're trying to fix.
So Prince William County reached out to us. They have completed a stream restoration project on this section of Dewey's Creek. I believe it's over 6,000 linear feet of creek that they've worked on. That helped to abate flooding in that area and also to restore sections of it. And there's sections of Dewey's Creek that now look phenomenal. They've had really good bounce back. Right. The plants are coming back. The wildlife is.
Well, when you say restore, what does that actually mean?
So these are sort of engineering projects.
Okay.
So they do have equipment that are kind of changing the way that the creek flows, opening that up. These things are meant to protect our Chesapeake Bay. They're meant to abate the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus and sediment that flow out of these things. And indeed, localities around here are required by law to do that sort of abatement work.
Okay.
Where we come in is they asked us to look at 2 sections within the restoration where they had problems with getting the native plants restored back in there. So one section that we'll be working on this spring has significant invasive species on site, primarily an invasive grass called Arthraxon hispidus. And that's really suppressed a lot of things that they seeded in there and a lot of the tree seedlings they put in. So we have a strategy to go in there, do a mix of tree, understory tree, canopy, shrub, and herbaceous layer plants, protect those things from deer, and go in with high diversity and begin to hopefully see that plant community change, evolve, and get reestablished there.
We often hear about invasive species, and my understanding is that some don't do very much harm, and then others do a lot of harm. Is this grass one of them that you're trying to get rid of? Is that one that has done a lot of harm?
It can cause a lot of harm. So whenever we talk about an invasive plant, there's sort of a sort of 2-point test that we're thinking of, right? Is it something that's not from around here, and is it something that causes ecological or economic harm? And so this grass, it can get pretty tall. It's an annual. It grows very, very fast. And then it leaves a lot of sort of thick, dense thatch behind. And what that can do is that suppresses out what would otherwise be a very diverse layer of native plants, and you just have this monoculture of an invasive species. And then that problem sort of reverberates throughout, because while you would have a diverse array of wildlife, different birds, different frogs, things like that, different insects, making use of our native plants that would be there, you have only one species, and very, very few species of wildlife can make use of that plant. So you tend to have lower diversity across the board with something like that.
How difficult is it to get rid of it?
It's challenging to get rid of a species like this. Our hope is that Arthraxon hispidus is not particularly shade tolerant. So our goal with planting a number of tree and shrub species densely this spring is to hope that we can force them to get up above the height where the Arthraxon is a threat to them, and begin to shade some of this out. And as those trees mature, that shade will spread. They'll also begin dropping seeds, so we'll see that sort of change in the landscape take effect over the years.
I see what you're doing there. You're using nature against itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it would be, you can't go and take it all out.
No, we're talking about acres of an
Wow.
invasive species here. So we're using a strategy that ecologists call applied nucleation. So the idea is, instead of going in and trying to plant every square inch of this area that's affected by the invasive species and trying to control every square inch, we're going in, we're identifying areas where we think we can make a positive difference. We're going to come back in the fall, control some of the invasives in the areas we plant. But as we begin to see these densely planted but diverse chunks mature and begin to set seed, what the researchers found is that those seeds begin to spread across the site and begin to drive positive change on the site.
What kind of trees are trees you're going to be planting?
Yes, so we're
what
going
kind?
to have a mix of canopy tree species.
Okay.
So we'll definitely have some oaks out there. We'll probably have some pin oaks, some willow oaks. We'll probably have river birch on site. We'll have hackberries. We'll also try and get some shrubs on the site too. It's important to have that diversity of cover because different wildlife species like to hang out at different heights in a forest and use different things. So we'll have elderberry out there. We'll have silky dogwood. We'll have viburnums. So a real mix of appropriate native plants for this site.
And what is the grant going for?
So the grant is going for paying for the cost of the trees and the shrubs that we're bringing out, and also for the deer protection that we're using to make sure that these things can get a head start and not be destroyed.
Exactly. You plant some of those, they would be gone the next
Oh
day.
yeah, we saw deer when we were out there walking them. There are a lot.
Awesome. Well, this is wonderful. It's so great to learn about everything you're doing, and thank you for your work in the community.
Oh, it's our pleasure. We're very excited to get out there and get these plants in the ground.
Thanks for coming on, Matt. If you'd like to learn more about Earth Sangha, go to earthsangha.org. We'll be right back.